Hi everyone. Good afternoon. 감사합니다. Thank you very much for coming today. It's really packed today, so it's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this wonderful session. My name is Park Kyung-yeol. I'm a faculty member of Graduate School of Science and Technology Policy in KAIST. I'll be serving as a moderator today. In this session, we particularly focus on the business implications of AI. I'm thrilled to see all the possibilities that that this technology is going to enable for our society and human beings. So we'll try to identify not only sort of possibilities and also optimistic kind of technological innovation, but also challenges in an organization and also in the global field, such as global recent recession and also the disruption of global value chain. So we have been preparing this session within this kind of technological and also global context of these times that we are overcoming and working together these days. That actually lays foundation for today's discussion about some of these great practices and organization innovation in a world-leading companies. So I think today's session is very timely under the theme of strategizing. Oh, it's gone, but strategizing with artificial intelligence for this session. So I'm really excited to introduce our wonderful group of distinguished speakers who need very little introduction. So first of all, right next to me, the founder and CEO of Rescale, Joris. Thank you. And we also have a Senior Vice President of NVIDIA, Mr. Shanker Trivedi. Thank you very much for your coming. So thank you very much for your time and participation. So I'll give you 5 minutes from each speakers for presentation. I know it's quite short for audience, but I'm sure there'll be very interesting discussion, like 20 minutes and 25 minutes each panel discussion altogether. And also, I'll open up the floor for your questions and comments from our very precious participants today. So without further delay, let's begin our speaker's presentation from Joris. So please welcome to the podium, CEO of Rescale, Joris. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much for having me here today. At Rescale, I can say we're incredibly excited about what AI's promise is and what it already has been and what we've delivered, and especially the future we have ahead of us. So today, I thought I'd kick it off by starting with a little bit of context and maybe a story of my own background. Many of you not from Korea have probably flown this aircraft here to Seoul on the way to join us for this conference. And if you don't know, this is the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, and it's a very special plane. What makes this plane special is this is the first commercial aircraft that leverages composite materials to design the most efficient possible commercial aircraft for this size. And 20 years ago, I was one of the engineers helping design this aircraft at Boeing. And in order to optimize the perfect design, we had to take all the different physics, from fluid dynamics to the structural design of the composite materials to the way the wing twists, to get to the most efficient possible design. And you may not know it, but this wing is actually designed with AI 20 years ago. And we did this through using what we called self-tuning optimization algorithms applied to over 10 million different variables across the entire wing design and ran it on many supercomputers. And this compute power, this is 20 years ago when there was no cloud computing. So we had to actually take the compute power from all the different business units at Boeing, and we could only run this problem over the weekend. And so after many years of sort of development and being able to run these sort of larger scale problems every weekend in and out, many years later, we were able to design this much more efficient wing, which is on this aircraft that you fly every day today. And this shows the real potential of what AI can do, but also how difficult it was at that time, 20 years ago, to leverage AI in the context of R&D. And for this reason, 10 years ago, we decided to start the company Rescale because we believed we could bring this kind of compute and capability and the potential to apply large-scale computation to R&D and AI capabilities for every engineer and scientist. And in order to do that, one of our investors taught me a lesson, Peter Thiel, and he said to found a company, you have to have a special secret. And so what our special secret at Rescale, when we founded the company Rescale 10 years ago, was around computing. And that computing is not just a commodity. And 10 years ago, you would think, hey, we already have Amazon Web Services, we already have all these like cloud capabilities. But actually computing has incredible potential if it's used correctly and tuned and optimized and leveraged and unlocks new capabilities. And I think today that's already come true. As you know, with AI, the computing scarcity and the importance of all the different technologies from the hardware through the software stack up to the application layer are critical in achieving the AI capabilities that the generative AI movement has delivered already today. So I'm really happy to share that this journey we started over 10 years ago has been very successful, being lucky to be supported by thought leaders like Sam Altman, Jeff Bezos, Jensen from NVIDIA, and Peter Thiel, to be able to fund and support the growth of the full stack cloud capabilities to bring AI to our R&D capabilities for the engineers and scientists in our world. And we have over tens of thousands of engineers and scientists using Rescale today in all these different verticals, from aerospace to automotive, to other global manufacturers, to life sciences, and even chip design and semiconductor, to be able to build more efficient and be much more productive in that R&D context. And the mission that we're on at Rescale, and again, I'm very happy to share how successful this is already today, is to bring the engineers and scientists the tooling and the capabilities and democratize the access to be able to solve some of the world's most important problems. If we think about to build a better future for our kids and our society, those goals are around solving climate change problems, building new energy sources, fusion and fission capabilities, solving more efficient and sustainable transportation methods, building new drugs and in life sciences and healthcare, having more efficient medical devices, and all the way to chip design, building more efficient next generation chips that can take the cost of AI down further to make it more accessible to everybody. All of these types of projects we have at Rescale, our customers are solving these problems today. And by leveraging AI as a tool to automate and make it more productive, we're empowering our engineers and scientists to accelerate innovation and solve these problems faster and better than ever before. So with that, I'll leave you to the next speakers here and just share that at Rescale, we're incredibly excited about the potential of AI and bring that co-pilot of AI to the R&D capabilities of every engineer and scientist to advance our society's most challenging problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your punctuality as well. So next speaker is CTO of NVIDIA, Shanker Trivedi. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Joris, and thank you, Professor Park, and thanks to MEN for having me here. In the 10 years since Joris started the company, NVIDIA has improved the computing performance by 1 million times, right? So I'm Shanker Trivedi. I'm responsible for NVIDIA's enterprise business, and we, NVIDIA, are today the leading platform for AI computing. Everybody on the panel, I'm delighted to say, is a NVIDIA customer and partner, and we want to be a partner with all of you here in some way, shape, or form towards furthering the AI mission and helping you grow and change and reshape your business. Our main focus is always as developers. You know, we want to reach out to every single developer out there on the planet. If you're a startup, if you're a researcher, if you're in a university, if you're in a research lab, NVIDIA wants to reach out to you. And we want to further this mission of artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is one instantiation of accelerated computing. Accelerated computing means you speed up a workload or workflow, and if you speed it up, magical things happen. So, for example, the computer can speak better than a human being. The computer can pass the medical examination test with a higher score than a human being. The computer can make a video better than a human being can. And so that's magical. But the other magical thing that happens in accelerated computing is you save money. Because you can do the same thing with, if you take the example of the Boeing wing, what used to take a week to simulate can now be done in less than a day, right? And because you can do it in less than a day, you need less computing, you need less software, you need less energy, less power consumption, and therefore you need less money to do the job. And the fact that we've been able to drive this computing power by 1 million times over 10 years truly means that we can now do things that you could not do before. And one of those things is generative AI. But there are other things that we do, and accelerated computing is domain specific. So we spend our time on these 3 broad domains: the graphics domain, which is like the simulation of light; the high-performance scientific domain, which Joris spoke about, which is a simulation of the laws of physics and chemistry and biology; and then AI, which is a simulation of data, where you can, by looking at the data, understand what's going on in the system. So if you think about generative AI today and what AI does, it combines these 3 elements into one computing stack. And so to help you on that journey, what my team and I have done is put together a set of resources for you. So if you scan that QR code onto your phone or your computer or whatever, you will get a bunch of videos which explain to you how to do generative AI. And for you, I've even set up what we call an NVIDIA Launchpad session, whereby you can actually go in if you provide your information and so on. We will provision an instance for you, in this case, to create your own chatbot. So you don't have to do ChatGPT. You can actually create your own chatbot using your own resources. But we provide a bunch of resources, and we want to help you accelerate your journey, speed up your journey towards this magic of generative AI. Thank you very much.
Maybe we can start for the panel discussion. So we discussed about different type of values of artificial intelligence, including business and industrial and even social values of artificial intelligence. So could you share a little bit about your kind of best practices and how you can actually maximize productivity and then efficiency and decision making in an organization? Joris first.
Sure. So we've deployed AI capabilities in many different R&D organizations. And some of the lessons we've learned is, first of all, I think that it really requires an executive kind of top-down rethinking of your entire business, right? AI is really a horizontal capability, right? So it can be used in many places across the organization. So from procurement, where you might use LLM models to process a bunch of paperwork, right, to R&D, where you're using AI to predict new physics and things like that, right? So there's a broad set of use cases now that are very easily accessible. Anybody writing an email can use ChatGPT to write an email, right? And so everybody in the organization can benefit. And what we've seen as a best practice is maybe not as much as having a separate AI team, but really making it a capability that the entire organization can leverage. And this requires a lot of transformation, because ultimately to deploy these AI tools safely, securely, and in the way that an enterprise would like to adopt them, requires a big transformation and investment. And the organizations that have done that well are seeing incredible benefits, right? And so a great example is maybe recently, just today, there was a Morgan Stanley report released this morning and on Tesla, right? And one of the key things that Morgan Stanley report explained was how Tesla uses AI. And they've built a vertically integrated strategy where they have their own AI chip. They have a Dojo supercomputer. They run all their training and simulation on that. But that same asset can be used in many parts of Tesla's business, right? And investors have started to understand this. And just based on that report alone, that created $80 billion of market value for Tesla in the last 24 hours. So that, I think, shows the transformative potential of when it's well understood how AI can start transforming your business, how much value it can really add. But of course, it requires rescaling, retraining. I think, ultimately, technology is just neutral, right? And so to really use it in the right positive way, it needs the right people around it that are trained the right way to be able to bring that value and capture that value. And so making those investments across your organization, we've seen create tremendous value, not just for companies like Tesla, but for many different enterprises across these verticals.
Sure. If you don't mind, if I just make one quick question. So you, in your presentation, you have a kind of this core values and they're surrounded by design cycles and then use cases. How do you just connect all these different type of components for business strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think one of the key challenges is for us, for example, we're trying to empower engineers and scientists to leverage those AI capabilities. At Rescale, we've built a full stack platform to kind of present to the engineer who's running physics simulations all day the ability to add AI capability, or we call it an AI co-pilot, an AI physics capability, in their traditional workflow that they're used to using. So it's really taking a domain expert that might be an expert in aerodynamics or structural design or crash simulation and bringing AI capabilities in sort of a point-and-click fashion that are really easy to use. So they don't need to really be an expert in how to set up a cluster for solving an AI problem. The goal is always to make it as easy to use as prompting like ChatGPT or something like that. And I think those kind of layers in the stack are absolutely critical to make it accessible and democratize that capability to every sort of engineer and scientist.
Great, thank you. So over to you, Shanti.
So a couple of examples from my side. So the first thing that we realized to be an AI company is to use it ourselves. So we use our own AI computer, supercomputer, to write our own AI software. And what that means is that we have software that is now being used in 300 or more cars and trucks and robots and so on. And in order to do that, we require a large AI supercomputer to write the software. The second thing that we discovered was, to make an autonomous vehicle or a robot, you do need a lot of data. But in order to do a lot of data, you don't have to have a lot of cars. You can use something called synthetic data generation to create new data. So you don't have to have the data yourself. You can actually, and then, by the way, if you use synthetic data, you don't have privacy issues and security issues and all of those issues. So that was another key learning for us. And we have now applied this same software, writing software principle to medical. So we worked with the open source community to create Mon AI, which is used by all the medical imaging companies, where AI disciplines, many startups, including here in Korea, use that software. And we have now taken the same GPT transformer method to create a language model for molecules and genomes so that you can actually simulate and create new chemicals and new, understand genetics better so we can create better treatments. So those are the things that we are doing internally, and it all starts with an AI supercomputer.
I think Youwon just raised a very important point, like fragmentation. So how we can actually utilize AI tools for better communication and coordination, even within an organization, to tackle the fragmentation issue. Would you like to share any thoughts on that?
Sure. I think, again, ultimately, what I've seen be successful is reskilling and rethinking across the entire organization and really thinking about it from more of like a blank sheet of paper as opposed to just like an incremental additional tool that's built on top. But the real challenge, I think, as Youwon shared, I think the big challenge is there is a big reskilling that needs to happen, right? So I personally am not too fearful for all these white-collar jobs going away. What's really happening, I think, is that a lot of these white-collar jobs are transforming into new types of jobs, right? And that value creation needs to be captured. And as was shared, it's not easy to build these AI capabilities, right? And so there's new types of jobs, new types of capabilities, but it does require a retraining and reskilling within the workforce. But I think it's best done to the sort of domain experts, right? To use a specific example, if you have somebody who is, an expert in procurement, they're probably the same expert that you want using the large language models, and not really take a data scientist and have them try to become an expert in procurement, right? So again, reskilling and doing that across the different parts of your organization, and having that strategy built by the experts in those domains.
Shanker, would you like to share any thoughts?
Well, I mean, we are, the way I think of it is we are a learning company. We have to keep learning ourselves. We were just a semiconductor company, and now we are a software company. That's a very important change. And the other thing is that I believe that actually artificial intelligence will augment the human being. There will always be a human being in the loop. It's just that the loop has changed. The nature of the job has changed. But I don't think, jobs go away, right? Just makes human beings more productive.
Is there any thoughts on what are the other considerations for implementing AI? Any, Shanker?
Besides the social ones, obviously you want something that fits with your business strategy. I always say to people that whatever AI project you want to work on, please choose the most difficult project, which has the highest ROI that's feasible. I see so many companies try to do, summer intern type of projects, and the ROI is questionable. And even if you succeed, you're not going to go into production. Yes. So my call to action is take the hard problem and go work on that one instead of the easiest problem. And I completely agree with Bertrand. We want it to be trustworthy. We want to be responsible. We want to follow all the ethics. We want to provide guardrails. That's why we got our autonomous vehicle stack fully certified to the highest safety standard, right from the get-go. I think we might still be the only one that's completely certified for safety. So we want to do that, but choose a tough problem.
Fantastic point, yeah. Joris?
Yeah, maybe just to add to that, not only a tough problem, I think it's also really important to work from the business problem backwards. So pick, the most valuable, maybe the toughest problem, but really don't just look at, I see a lot of organizations taking, hey, here we have a lot of data, let's use AI to get some great insights and then think about what value it creates later, right? So start with the business problem and sort of work backwards, and how can you solve this problem more uniquely or in a different way with AI that's differentiated. I think doing it that way ensures that you get the return. I think all AI problems are sort of pretty tough regardless of which one you tackle, so you might as well tackle the most valuable ones for your organization. I totally agree with the trust and the risks associated. That said, I personally, my view is that it's never been a more exciting time to invest in innovation. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a student looking to potentially start a future company, or if you're an experienced executive looking to implement AI capabilities, there's not that many in our lifetimes, I would say, these sort of big platform shifts, right? And so maybe in our lifetimes, we'll see like one or two more, right? And so right now is an amazing time to start these kinds of initiatives that can truly transform a large company, and also an amazing time to start new companies and take new approaches, because it is really going to restructure, how every company works, and that makes it really exciting. And the risks, the reason I would let it not scare you is that I think a lot of the risks will be addressed with AI-based solutions. So if you're afraid of, this technology can be used in bad ways, right? It's actually, you want to get ahead of that. So you want to invest in the technology to be able to protect against those, leveraging the best possible technology. So instead of regulating it, I think it's really important to actually use innovation and use AI capability for good in the best way possible.
So I think we're running out of time. We have just 10 minutes, 12 minutes. So let me just open up the floor and for questions or comments. So if you have any questions, raise your hand.
Hello, my name is David Song. I'm studying computer science at University of Washington. I just finished first year. So I'm trying to get into AI because everybody's saying, oh, AI is the thing, AI is the thing. But after I just finished intro Java course and don't know anything about anything else. So, and whenever I try to learn it, everybody's saying that, oh, it's too fast. It's the field is fast paced, so I don't think you'll catch up. So I don't know where to start.
Yeah, we can give you some public learning. NVIDIA.com/DLI, and there's a whole bunch of learning. And there's actually first principles classes. You can take the class, all the computing is provided for, and just do it, get started.
So without fee?
No fee. There's no fee.
No fee?
I
Okay.
kid you not. Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe just to share my thoughts, I think we're really in the early innings, so it feels like things are going very fast. I do think technology is accelerating at an accelerated pace, so there will be more new technologies coming faster. But if I actually look at most, really big innovations, they definitely take some time, right? And it's not always, it's the last mover that really wins, right? And so, I'd encourage you to take your time to really figure out what you're passionate about, whatever that topic is, not AI. Figure out, what kind of industry you want to work in, those types of things. And then you can use AI in that context. And then it's all about perseverance. If you're willing to, pursue that for 5 to 10 years, the AI wave just started, right? So pretty soon, if you continue to kind of study hard at that topic, you can become one of the top 10 world's experts if you stick with it.
So any other question from the floor? Okay, this gentleman over here.
Hello, my name is Lee Wang-jae of GS Engineering Construction. When it comes to IT, every year there's this fad, there's new technology comes in and everyone gets interested, and the next year another thing comes in, then people get interested. Do you think LLM is another fad or is it here to stay?
LLM is fad or not?
Well, it has a lot of uses, right? So I don't think it's a fad. There's already people who are writing software using LLM already. I have a medical company, Amgen, they've written about it. They're using our biology LLM to actually screen new drugs. So this technology has real use.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you can try it yourself, and it's a super productive tool to create basic prose and text and things like that. I think it still needs to probably find the kind of killer commercial model / business use case, et cetera. But it's clearly quite valuable as a tool just in processing text and understanding, summaries and things like that.
I think I saw another gentleman was, not gentleman, but sure.
Thank you. My name is Una An, and I work at LG. So when I look into AI industry, there is a tremendous product and services, but a lot of companies are still reluctant to use the service, especially those companies in finance or healthcare. So my first question is, do you see any reason that those companies are hesitate to use AI product and services? And my second question is, do you have any plan to approach and break through those hesitance? for those companies? Thank you.
Just feel free to address.
So first of all, Bloomberg is a finance. So I believe that the service providers will be the first companies to go into production and provide a service for that vertical. So take, for example, Bloomberg, right? Bloomberg made their own Bloomberg GPT, and they're using it now to provide a service to all of their information clients. I think the same will happen in the medical field. There'll be the research organizations will provide a service to the pharmaceutical companies. Now, the reason why this is probably the most likely thing to happen is because notice both of these industries, financial services and healthcare, are highly regulated. And therefore, there's a lot more regulatory scrutiny, and it's easiest for the service provider to deliver the service, right? And that service provider could be Naver, or it could be a vertical service provider like a Bloomberg or so on.
Yeah, maybe just to add to that, I've seen some use cases of AI. If you think about it being used in like an R&D context for like a healthcare company, I mean, a large majority of the Fortune 500 healthcare companies use Rescale today. And the context they use it in is in a highly regulated space, like medical device development or something like that. But they actually use sort of AI predictive physics models to come up in the context of that development, a better answer faster, right? And then they still use the traditional sort of methodologies to be able to validate and verify and certify all these answers and designs. But it really helps, make that initial exploration process much more efficient, whether it's a medical device or, identifying more promising drug targets. They still go through that same regulatory approval process, but they're able to basically do that much more efficiently. And so that sort of co-pilot or productivity tool for the R&D scientists is what's so powerful.
So, right, so I think already it's 5:14, so I'd like to just hear closing remarks, like 1 minute closing remarks from all of you. So maybe starting from Shanker.
So my call to action, to repeat what I said, pick a tough project which has a high ROI. And if you don't know about AI, it is going to be in everybody's job, in every process in the company, particularly generative AI. So if you don't know what it is, learn about it fast because it is going to affect your life.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and I'd love to leave everybody with, again, like that it's never been a more exciting time, I think, to be in the technology space, to have the opportunity to implement these AI projects, to be the leaders in that is incredibly exciting, and it's a unique opportunity in your lifetime. And so whether you're a student that's going to go start a company, right, or you can come work at Rescale, or an experienced in a large enterprise, right? It's a really exciting time to implement AI, and you should absolutely learn about it, and you should get your feet wet, try it out, and I look forward to seeing everything that you contribute to innovation.
Thank you very much. I think it's been very excellent discussion today, and thank you very much for your participation and then all the comments and questions, and especially huge thanks to the audience, and then apologies for the technical difficulties. But this is not the end. We'll look forward to having another discussion in next year maybe with more interesting cases and stories. Thank you very much. 감사합니다. Thank you.